Last summer, OCP Director Eric Friedman gave a lecture at the 5-star residence in Chevy Chase. He talked to the seniors about scams directed specifically at them.
We're here today to talk to some seniors about consumer scams, some that target all residents, but also ones that target seniors in particular. So we're very honored to be invited here to be able to talk to a big group of seniors today.
Eric Friedman, and we're a warm welcome and thank you for coming.
Thank you so much. It's an honor to be here. Thank you for inviting me. We really want to get some interaction because your questions will help protect other residents in Montgomery County. You know, old scams don't die, they just go high-tech. It used to be, for someone to steal money from you, they had to physically reach into your pocket, get your wallet or your purse, and take that money. Now, it can all happen electronically. Our telephone is the same as our wallet. Our computer is the same as our wallet. All the numbers that we're associated with, our Social Security number and checking account numbers, are all ways that unscrupulous people, that con artists, can steal money from us. It's the four-step dance that these crooks will do. The first thing is to sound credible. So they'll get a little piece of information, and they'll get you to fill in the other pieces of the information for them. Somebody will call you up and pretend to be your grandson or a loved one. And their voice might sound a little funny, and they might get you to fill in the missing pieces of information. They might say, "Hi, Granny, this is your favorite grandson." And you say, "Oh, Jimmy, how are you?" It might be the middle of the night. You might be half awake, half asleep. Doesn't really sound like Jimmy, but you think that's who you're talking to.
Late one night, Grandpa receives a phone call. A young man says, "Hi, Grandpa. It's me. Adam, is that you? You sound funny." "It must be the phone line, Grandpa."
Step number 2 is a sense of urgency. There's an emergency. They're either in the hospital, they need some money, or they need some money for a new passport, or they need some money to get a car repaired, or for some urgency they need some money, they need it quickly.
"I'm out of the country, and I've run into some trouble. I was arrested for drunk driving, and I need bail money immediately."
And then they exploit the natural desire that all grandparents have to protect their grandchildren with unconditional love and to be there when they're needed.
Grandpa, worried about his grandson Adam, sends the money.
And then the fourth step is going to be, they're going to end with some type of secrecy. They're going to say, "Well, don't tell Mom and Dad," or "Don't do something else."
"Oh, and please don't tell Mom or Dad. They would be so disappointed in me."
And before you know it, you've wired the money. And once you wire the money, it's completely gone. There's no way of getting it back.
Adam never got any money. But Tim Lee, he got what he wanted.
And you say, how can it happen? It happens. People have wired and called our office $2,000, $3,000.
Consumer Federation of America reminds you, before you send money, stop and check with someone you trust to confirm that your grandchild is truly in trouble.
Another one is fake checks. They will mail to you a check made payable to you for $3,000. It looks incredibly real. If you bring it to any teller in a bank, the teller cannot tell the difference by looking at it. It has security features on there, and they will say, "You've won $1 million. We're so sure this is real, we're going to give you $3,000 right now. Here's a check for $3,000 as your first payment on the $1 million that you've won. All you have to do is send us a check for some amount of money for the processing fee to get the rest of it." And you think, well, this one's probably not a scam because they've actually sent me something that's incredibly real. And what happens, unfortunately, is you deposit their check, you then send them a check, their check bounces, there's no money there, but your check was good, and they have tricked us once again into sending things to them. The third thing I want to talk about is identity theft. Identity theft is now so bad that the experts at the Federal Trade Commission say it's not a matter of if you will be a victim of identity theft, it's a matter of when will you be a victim of identity theft. Don't carry your Social Security number on the card with you. Don't give it out unless you absolutely have to, which is typically just in a doctor's office or maybe for medical insurance purposes. Shred documents. There's a scam that just came around yesterday where somebody was walking there. Two people walk up to them and they had some crazy story to get you to get money out of the bank. That someone came up to them and they had a huge pack of cash, and they said they needed to deposit this money into the bank, but they didn't trust banks, so if you could deposit this for them, and then they'll take it and move it out to there, and they'll give you an extra $200 for all your trouble, and it's all this sort of mumbo-jumbo double talk, and next thing you know, the person goes to the bank and withdraws lots of money, hands it to this person, disappears, they never see them again. Telemarketing, the medical alert scam, we just put out an alert on that. You've probably heard it. If you haven't received this one, I guarantee you, you will. You'll get a phone call from someone. It's going to be an automated telephone call, a robocall, but it's going to sound like a live, real person. And they're going to say, we're calling to schedule delivery of your medical alert device.
But he didn't give me his name or company name or anything. After I said hello, there was not that, you know, the wait you get sometimes where you have to say hello a second time and then a person comes on. He was on the phone immediately and he said, we're calling about a delivery that we need to make.
Says here that the system's already been paid for. Looks like you're getting the system because either yourself, a friend, a family member, or maybe someone you know. And
one of your loved ones has ordered this for you, it's available, and then they actually sound like it's a real person. They'll call us, oh wait, I'm looking right here, yeah. Oh yeah, it was scheduled for delivery. One of your loved members of your family has ordered it for you, just want to push 1 so we can schedule delivery, push 2. It's an absolute phony scam. They just want to confirm that they have a live telephone number that they can use again. If you push another number, somebody will call you and ask for your credit card number just to get a processing fee. We've all seen that advertisement, and these calls are going around over and over. That's one of the many telemarketing ones that we get. So these are all the kinds of complaints that we get in our office. It's certainly better to try and protect yourself before you get into trouble than to have us try and get the money back for you.
What percentage of scammers reported to your office in Montgomery County are actually identified and arrested?
The hardest area, and I just reviewed these cases yesterday in our office, unlicensed home improvement contractors. There are so many merchants that come from out of town and say, I'm going to fix your driveway, I'm going to fix your roof. They do shoddy work, they do no work, and sometimes they disappear. Of those, maybe half we're able to find. Maybe half. Lots of times consumers say, I gave $1,000 in cash, or he drove me to the bank to get the money. I gave it to him. Okay, great, we'll go after him. Give me his name, address, and his license plate. Oh, I don't have that. And so on those cases, we're probably going to have a hard time finding the person.
Could you speak about the sentences? What do these guys get?
On the unlicensed home improvement contractors, they will can get 6 months in jail if they defrauded somebody. There's a special law in Montgomery County that deals with vulnerable adults, and there's an extra penalty that a crook can get if they have taken advantage of someone who's a vulnerable adult or 68 years or older.
Does your office run any enforcement programs other than somebody complains and you follow up on the complaint? Do you have any other forms of enforcement?
Thank you for asking that. We do. We are a law enforcement agency in line in the same sector as the police department, the fire department, Homeland Security, and Sheriff's Office. We have the authority to issue civil citations. We have the authority to bring lawsuits. We issue subpoenas for documents and can force someone to come into the office to give us information. And we can give what's called a civil citation, just like a parking ticket, if they violate the Consumer Protection Law. Montgomery County has its own Consumer Protection Law. And if they violate that, there's a $500 penalty the first time, $1,000 for the second time. We actually can write a civil citation like a parking meter person would for violating the law. We also bring lawsuits against merchants on occasion. We enter into settlement agreements as well.
I just had a charge on my Visa account. I don't know anyone by this name. I called the credit card company. They put the money back.
Credit cards are very safe to use. As long as you report something stolen or missing, the most you could ever be responsible for is for $50. The banks will take the loss on that sort of situation.
On the back of your credit card, there is a 3-digit number. What is the purpose of that?
And the purpose really is just an extra security feature. If someone has stolen your credit card number, they're thinking if they physically don't have the the card, they wouldn't have that extra 3 digits.
Now, I have a friend, he always carried a lot of cash. And I would ask him, why are you carrying so much cash? Why don't you pay by credit card? He said he had heard that even though you go to a restaurant that is legitimate, there may be a dishonest waiter who will take your credit card, go in the back room. There are electronic devices that will scan credit cards, and it's on its way, so to speak.
The situation there, if the cash is stolen, you'll never get it back. If the credit card is stolen, you have some protection. Some restaurants have now changed it. They give the waitress or waiter a mobile device, and they will scan your credit card at your table, and you'll sign it at the table just in response to that issue. You know, this is an interesting thing. We used to say all the time, especially to seniors, trust your gut. I used to say this all the time. If your instincts tell you that something doesn't smell right, stay away from it. And I think that's still good advice, but they've been doing some research. They showed pictures to these seniors of people who looked untrustworthy. They had downturned eyes, and they looked like they were the kind of people that would mug you in a heartbeat. And then they scanned their brains, the special part of the brains, to see if it lit up the same way that younger people did.
In the brain imaging study that we did, we brought younger and older adults into our laboratory. There's a region of the brain called the anterior insula, and that gets activated, that lights up in response to cues related to untrustworthiness. When you look at the brains of older adults, however, looking at exactly the same pictures, you see almost no activity at all. And essentially, what we think is happening is the older adults aren't getting signals from their brains.
Unlike the younger person, whose parts of their brains would be triggered to say, I wouldn't trust that person. So now we're saying, trust your instincts, but also let's focus on behavior. If you get a letter in the mail from something that sounds like a claim bureau or whatever, don't do anything until you've checked them out.
I have a situation. I have about 3 requests. You're entitled to $500,000, let's say. You've won this. And however, at the end of this thing, please send in $25 for a return on this thing. Another one says $5. Right. Since I won so much on one, I was going to write the man a letter. Well, if I deduct the $25 from the total amount, then I still have a considerable amount left.
This gentleman is talking about receiving in the mail at least 3 different offers saying he's won lots of money, but then can he just mail them a check for $25 or for $5? Here's the answer to that. If you can just remember this and think of it, you know, the telephone is the worst place to do business. You don't want to make business decisions over the telephone. AARP did a study of seniors, and they said, why do these telemarketers work? Why do they stay on the phone listening to them? And here's the problem. None of us, how many times in your lifetime have you hung up the telephone without saying goodbye? But it's so unusual for us just to slam down the phone. We think it's impolite. We don't do it. We've never done it all our lives. For 70 years, we've never slammed down the phone. And then here's what happens. If you respond to it, if you send in $5 or $25, you'll start getting more and more and more. We had a gentleman came to us, he had a stack this high because it's called reloading. Once they get some money from you, your name gets put on a sucker list. And then that gets generated around, and you'll get more and more and more people sending them to you. So please think of it as an opportunity not to lose a penny. I don't want us all to get depressed and be too cynical and go home moping, because these are just the warning signs. Luckily, we are all very aware, and I can tell by the questions that you are all very aware of what's going on there. It literally, the complaints we handle are cradle to grave and everything in between. But the good thing is, and this is probably the best thing, if you remember nothing else about what I say today, you only need to remember one thing, and that is you have a very vibrant and active Consumer Protection Office in Montgomery County, and if you get into trouble or have an issue, we'll be glad to try and help resolve that for you. And hope that you'll call us anytime you have a question, and thank you again for your time.
Thank you, Eric.
Thank you so much. Smart group, lots of questions, and they all have some amazing consumer protection stories. So I hope they'll contact our office. I hope we can help lots of people.
Same number calls me every day.
Same number calls you?
Every day about 6 o'clock.
It surprised me that they all get this "I've won $1 million" solicitation. It's almost like everyone had received something like that.
I said, no.
Good, smart, I'm proud of you.
I mean, I'm
That's
so
what you do.
mad.
Response to I've gotten a number of these calls. You want $1 million?
Right. What do?
I say, I'm so happy. I'll be very pleased to give you the $1 million that I want. Please accept it on my behalf.
Good.
Clunk. I hear the phone going.
Good job. Very good. And it's almost as if these crooks are just waiting for the seniors to make one false step, and then they catch them. To me, the sense was that just call everybody in this room and just hope that one person slips up. And if one person slips, the crook gets the money. And that's the sad part.
Well, it was a wonderful.
Oh, you're very kind.
talk.
Thank you so much.